or Mathilde, was one of those pretty young ladies who thought of themselves as high class, despite being born in a lower one. She was unhappy in her life as she was married to a clerk who couldn't provide her with the riches and luxuries she was obsessed with. Her husband, Monsieur Loisel, on the other hand, was a simple man who was content with his life. He always made efforts to make Mathilde happy by trying to fulfill her wishes. One evening, her husband returned with an envelope in his hands. It was an invitation to a high-class party. He excitedly gave the envelope to Mathilde, expecting her to be happy. "Here, I have brought something for you." But contrary to her husband's expectations, she threw the invitation spitefully upon the table and said, "What do you suppose I want with that?" Now, do you think it was okay for Mathilde to behave in such a way? It is not okay. Even if we receive something that we don't like, we should respect the good intentions of others. Let's see how her husband reacted. He replied, "But my dearie, I thought a chance to attend such a fine event would make you happy. What is the matter?" "Nothing, only I have no dress, and consequently I cannot go to this affair." Listening to his wife cry, Monsieur Loisel offered her 400 francs to buy a new dress for the event. He was saving this amount to buy a gun to join some hunting parties. Now, this gesture of Monsieur Loisel is called sacrifice. Do you know anyone who sacrifices for you? Yes, without a doubt, your parents. So, we should be grateful to our parents. The day of the ball approached, but despite having a beautiful dress, Madame Loisel seemed sad, disturbed, and anxious. Her husband asked her, "What is the matter with you? You have acted strangely for 2 or 3 days." "I am vexed not to have a jewel, nothing to adorn myself with. I shall have such a poverty-stricken look, I would prefer not to go to this party." Listening to Mathilde's new problem, Monsieur Loisel suggested she wear fresh flowers, which she denied repulsively. Then, suddenly, he had an idea, and he advised her to borrow the jewelry from her rich friend, Madame Forestier. Mathilde immediately agreed to this and decided to visit her friend and her the jewelry. The next day, Mathilde went to her friend's house and related her story of distress. Listening to her story, Madame Forestier offered her jewelry box to Madame Loisel and asked her to choose what she needed. Mathilde tried the jewels in front of the mirror one by one, but none of them interested her much. Reluctantly, she asked her friend, "Have you nothing more?" "Why, yes, look for yourself. I do not know what will please you." Suddenly, she discovered what she was looking for. It was a diamond necklace kept in a black satin box. She asked her friend, "Could you lend me this? Only this?" "Why, yes, certainly." She thanked her and left. Finally, the day of the ball arrived. She was the prettiest of all. She danced with enthusiasm and enjoyed herself till the morning hours, while her husband waited for her in one of the little salons. They went home late in the morning as they could not find a carriage easily. They had to walk along the river only to get an old carriage that dropped them at their house. After reaching home, the couple discovered that they had lost the necklace. Monsieur Loisel went out to retrace their steps to find it. But after searching everywhere, he came home disappointed. He instructed Mathilde to write a letter to Madame Forestier, telling a lie that the clasp of the necklace had broken, and they will have it returned once it is fixed. Meanwhile, they went to buy a similar-looking necklace from a jewelry shop, which costed 36,000 francs. Since they didn't have the amount of money required, They had to borrow it from their relatives and friends. Mathilde gave the necklace back to Madame Forestier, who didn't even bother to open the box and check it. Now, do you know why Madame Forestier did not check the returned item? Will you do the same? Well, the golden rule is to always check an item before giving and receiving. This kind of transparency between friends will save them from trouble. Let's see what trouble Mathilde had to face. In order to repay the borrowed amount, they had to face hardships. They had to live in rented rooms in attics. Mathilde had to do the household chores herself as they sent the maid away. Her husband also had to do multiple jobs. He used to maintain some merchant's books, and often at night, he had to do copying at 5 sous a page. Are you wondering what sou is? It was the currency used in France. It took them 10 years to restore what they lost. One Sunday, as she was taking a walk, suddenly she saw Madame Forestier, same as before, young, pretty, and attractive. Mathilde approached her and told her everything. Listening to the whole story, Madame Forestier said, "You say that you bought a diamond necklace to replace mine?" "Yes." "Oh, my poor Mathilde. Mine were false. They were not worth over 500 francs. What a twist. Could you have ever guessed Madame Forestier would say this? Now, what message do we get from this story?